Another tool is a data visualization. This is the presentation of data in a pictorial or graphical format. So, and a very good example of the recent use of Word as one of the data visualization tool is the word cloud. These are a visual depiction of a set of words that have been grouped together because of the frequency of the occurrences. If you are a qualitative researcher, most probably you have used word cloud as one of the illustration that will show the common words that your participants has been using during interviews. I'm sure you are familiar with word cloud. If not, you can Google it and see what's an example of a word cloud. Next is conversion funnel, a graphical representation that summarizes the steps a consumer takes in making the decision to buy your product and become a customer. So this is a specific graphical or visualization for business. So if you look at this one, this is an example of a conversion funnel. Uh, the diagram itself shows how it 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 can be interpreted. We will start with the visits, tapos it lessens the number until how many percent of those who visits are actually purchasing the actual the product. Next is we have online analytical processing. So these are concepts used in business intelligence or analytics. We will define or OLAP, we call this as OLAP, a method to analyze multidimensional data from many different perspectives, enabling users to identify issues and opportunities as well as perform trend analysis. So an online analytical processing is used to drill data or to extract data within a certain group of information that is shown to the user. So an example, a related concepts of online analytical processing or OLAP is the data cube. In fact, majority of the data mining courses before when during my master's is data cube is a very good perspective on analyzing the data. So you look at the data at different perspective or dimension. Here we define data cube as a collection of data that contains numeric facts called measures, which are categorized by dimensions such as time and geography. So if you look at this one, the time, the metric, and the geography dimension defined by data cube, but it doesn't mean that these are the only measures that can be used in data cube, but you can use any. So for instance, if we will look at the enrollment system of IIT, let's say the DBA course, we can define one dimension as a semester, second as number of students, and another is maybe we can have the teachers that taught at the particular semester. So we can analyze on the different perspective, meaning for instance, number of students, tapos we look at number of teachers handling the subjects, and number of students to the semester, meaning we can look at in which semester actually for school year there are number of students in relation to the semester. Okay, so the online later maybe. So second is we have the drill down analysis, which is what I'm supposed to be to give us an example of concept related to online analytical processing. So we have the drill down analysis. Actually, we have also a drill up analysis. Drill down analysis is the interactive examination of high-level summary data in increasing detail to gain insight into certain elements, sort of like slowly peeling off the layers of an onion. So if you imagine if you have a higher level data, so for example, in the setting of school, which is easier for me to give an example because I'm in a university setting. So in a drill down analysis, we can start into a dashboard. I hope that you understand the dashboard, but I will introduce later if you have difficulty and if you don't have background in dashboard. But I assume all MBA students are already knowledgeable on dashboard. We can start with dashboard, and if our dashboard is displaying us the number of students, the financial aspect of the university, and other human resource. So if you will be interested with the students aspect in the dashboard, you can double click the students aspect, and another display will appear, and that would be an example maybe is number of students per college. And so you can imagine that the display now is the number of students in each college. And if I'm interested with the College of Business Administration and Accountancy, I will double click again the CPA8, and it will display the number of students per course. And if I will click the number of students per course, it will display the percentage of male and female. That process is an example of drill down analysis. We are looking at the data, and we will look at each detail. But actually, you can go back on the analysis. But this process of identifying specific aspect of information is called the drill down analysis. We're always performing this one when we do business intelligence, because we want sometimes we want the details for each of the aspects that we are looking. And if you have an application or a product aspect of the BI on drill down, that would be very helpful for decision makers to decide certain aspects, because information are already organized well and the drill down support is very good. Another concept is linear regression. So we are very familiar, since majority maybe is oriented with um, the quantitative aspect of um, their research methods. So we define here linear regression as a mathematical procedure to predict the value of a dependent variable based on a single independent variable and the linear relationship between the two. So there are conditions on when to define or acceptable, when will be a linear regression is acceptable or not. So the diagram here is actually illustrating a sample of a set of data that will satisfy the analysis through linear regression. And a related term in business intelligence is data mining. So a data mining is actually a BI analytics tool used to explore large amounts of data for hidden patterns to predict future trends and behaviors for use in decision making. So if someone says data mining, that means it can be viewed as part of business intelligence, but a more specific one. And this is usually data mining is usually oriented with a discipline like computer science, or shall we say statistics. So in data mining, we have three major categories or approach used. Number one is association analysis. Next is neural computing, and third is case-based reasoning. In association analysis, these are specialized set of algorithms sorted through data and form statistical rules about relationship among the items. So association rules is a way to analyze the data such that association between items or between cells in your Excel spreadsheet, for example, can be defined. So an example of a very good example of association analysis is when one of the cases I'm not sure in what place, but this is available in the book, that they've already associated, a certain grocery store has found association between beers and diapers every Friday. So there in those discovery, they use association analysis. They discovered that every Friday, the sales in their store or grocery store would spike on beers and diapers. And it appears that in these cases, they realize that they can arrange their store based on that association rules derived from their data. Next, we have neural computing. Neural computing is about historical data is examined for patterns among the items. So this is also a very common practice. Common term used for this one is neural networks. Next is case-based reasoning. Historical if-then else cases are used to recognize patterns. So this one is looking patterns of the same cases on your new case. So this is common the common application for this one is, on example, if you will approve the loan or not. So they will look for previous cases and use the cases to decide on the new case. So the idea behind that one is implemented through data mining techniques, which is on the perspective, this is also on the perspective of statistics or computer science discipline. Then we have the term called cross-industry process for data mining. This is a guide for us also, although this is not necessarily BI or related to your strictly BI, but this is a very helpful in understanding the process of BI on conversion from data to information. This is a six-phase structured approach for the planning and execution of a data mining project. So let me illustrate, I think. So on the process side, we can look at that, we can see that in the diagram, we can start with business understanding, move on to data understanding. So remember that the organizational aspect of looking at the organization is different, but there is also a loop between data understanding and business understanding. So you can start with initial data understanding and go back to data understanding, because not all aspects of the organization will be considered. We will only select some. After data understanding, we move on to data preparation. So this, we have an exercise for this one. Tapos we move on to modeling, and we will not really define it as a very modeling aspect, because this, it sounds like difficult for us. Then we move to evaluation. After evaluation, we will look at the the resulting aspect of whether process or output. Tapos let's go back to the business understanding aspect. But if the cross-industry process for data mining process is very good, we will move on to deploying the data.